A war that shook the world. A conflict that drained economies, destroyed cities, and pushed global powers to the edge of collapse. For years, the United States and Russia refused to talk, refused to compromise, refused to even admit that peace was possible. But now, behind closed doors, something unexpected is happening. A secret peace plan is being drafted, and if it succeeds, the world you know today will not be the same tomorrow. The Ukraine war did not begin in 2022. It began years earlier. In 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea, a red line was crossed. Ukraine drifted toward the west. NATO expanded eastward, and Russia declared that its national security was under threat. For the United States, Ukraine became the front line of European security. For Russia, Ukraine became the last line of defense. The result, a prolonged conflict that turned into the largest European war since World War II. Millions displaced, entire regions destroyed, global inflation triggered, energy markets shaken, nuclear threats issued. And more importantly, the world divided into two camps, the American-led bloc and the Russia-China axis. For almost 2 years, both sides believed victory was possible. But by late 2024 and entering 2025, reality hit hard. For the United States, Ukraine aid became politically unpopular. Congress began blocking funds. Public support dropped sharply. Inflation remained high. US attention shifted toward China and the Middle East. For Russia, heavy military losses, sanctions damaging long-term economy, shortage of manpower, domestic dissatisfaction quietly rising. China pressuring for stability. In the world of geopolitics, peace does not come when enemies forgive each other. Peace comes when both sides run out of acceptable options. And that moment has arrived. Now, let's talk about the part that almost no one is discussing publicly. A US-Russia peace plan is being quietly drafted, not officially, not publicly, not through press conferences, but through intelligence intermediaries, European diplomats, back-channel communications, and pressure from global markets. The peace plan has 6 core pillars. Pillar 1, a long-term ceasefire. No full withdrawal. No final solution, just a controlled freezing of the conflict. Exactly like Korea, exactly like Kashmir, exactly like Cyprus. A war that stops. But never truly ends. Pillar 2, Russia keeps some territory. Not officially recognized, but accepted as part of the reality on the ground. Ukraine will not get all its land back. And the West knows this. Pillar 3. Ukraine gets security guarantees. Not NATO membership, but something close. A defense pact. Weapons guarantee. Military training. And the Western security umbrella. Pillar 4. Sanctions relief for Russia. Not full removal, but phased reductions, especially on oil sales, SWIFT restrictions, technology imports. Pillar 5, the militarized zones, buffer areas along the front line. Ukrainian troops on one side, Russian troops on the other. International observers in the middle. Pillar 6, economic reconstruction fund. Billions in reconstruction money for Ukraine, billions in oil revenue for Russia, and European investment as leverage. Let's be honest, the United States does not want to lose Ukraine, but Washington also does not want an endless, expensive war. The US is facing depleted ammunition stockpiles, rising debt, slowing a divided government, election year pressure, crisis in the Middle East, rising tension with China. A multi-front global conflict is impossible to sustain. The US is calculating. A frozen conflict is better than a never-ending one. Russia also knows something painful. A full victory in Ukraine is not possible. Not anymore. Not with Western weapons improving. Not with Russia's own economy under long-term pressure. Russia wants sanctions relief, stability, a pause to rebuild the military, recognition of gains, strategic breathing room. A frozen conflict actually benefits Moscow. It keeps territory and prevents NATO from getting too close. But here's the twist. Ukraine does not want a peace deal. At least not this one. Why? Because it requires accepting loss of land, accepting Russian presence, accepting a half victory, accepting a future where conflict may restart. But the harsh reality is, Ukraine's military is exhausted. Population is declining. Weapons are running low. And Western support is slowing down. Ukraine is cornered by geopolitics. It cannot decide its fate alone. How the world is reacting? Europe, divided. France and Germany want peace. Poland and the Baltics want stronger deterrence. China, quietly pushing Russia toward compromise to stabilize global markets. Turkey, positioning itself as a mediator, once again. India, welcomes peace, wants economic stability. Middle East, wants lower oil volatility after years of chaos. The entire world is tired of this war. If peace happens, even a frozen peace, expect global markets to react instantly. Oil prices fall because risk reduces. Gas supply increases, especially for Europe. Military stock markets drop due to lower demand. Global inflation cools down as uncertainty decreases. Reconstruction boom begins. Billions flowing into Ukraine. But there is another side. Russia becomes financially stronger if sanctions soften. And that will create new tensions in the future. A peace deal is not always peace. Sometimes it is only a pause before the next storm. Here are the risks. Russia regroups and attacks again. Ukraine remains unstable. NATO becomes divided. Europe loses strategic unity. China gains influence. A global power vacuum emerges. Frozen conflicts don't end wars. They only delay them. So, will this peace plan end the Ukraine war? Yes. But not the way the world imagines. Peace will not come with celebration, not with flags, not with treaties, not with final victories. It will come quietly, silently, privately, through backdoor agreements and reluctant compromises. And while the guns may stop, the geopolitical struggle between the US and Russia will only shift to a new battlefield. This deal is not the end of the war. It is the beginning of a new world order. One built not on trust, but on temporary balance. A balance so fragile that even a single spark could break it again.